This is a little bit of a sarcastic title, but it's not sarcastic. It really is. I mean, I really do have a point to make in it. Is this as good as righteousness gets? And it may sound sarcastic. Or question. Yeah, but it sounds like a sarcastic question. But it's a little tongue-in-cheek, but it really does have a point. And I really am I want to make a point. And I'll tell you what the point is before we start, okay? I'll tell you what the point is first. I was asking you, like, do you like Noah? Do you like Noah? Yeah. I don't like Noah so much. He's not such a... And I'll tell you why. Abraham... the reason I'm saying this is because this is what the rabbis say. This is what the rabbis say. Listen. Abraham is better than Noah. Noah is righteous. He's perfect. I mean, this is how God describes him. He's righteous. He's perfect. Listen. But Abraham is better. And this is what the rabbis say. Abraham is better. Now, were they both Gentiles? Yes. Abraham and Noah?
Yes.
Yeah. But we like Abraham better than Noah. And so God describes him as righteous. Not just righteous, but tamim, perfect. And yet, Abraham was better. So this week we study Noach, and next week we study Abraham. So I want the transition that I get across to you to be Noach, righteous, perfect, not so good. Abraham, righteous, much, much better. God never calls him tamim. God never calls Abraham perfect. But he calls Noach perfect, tamim, but Abraham is better. So what I want to do is say, okay, God calls him righteous, and then he says his days are like the days that we're about to enter into, the birth pangs, shortly. So it's not far from now.
Right.
I mean, like, God's not going to flip a switch and all of a sudden, boom, everything in the universe is different. It's going to just become what it becomes, which is very much like our days now. We're like the days of Noah. People's righteousness is now like Noah's righteousness, which ain't that great. And that's what the rabbis say, that each generation after Abraham, the level of holiness drops.
Yeah.
Therefore, the level of righteousness drops. And the ability to hear God drops. We are now right before the day of the Lord, which is as bad as it's going to get. This is as bad as it's going to get. And yet, we're righteous. So, how good is that righteousness?
It's good enough for our time.
Well, we'll find out. We'll see what the rabbis say, and I'll show you why I'm saying it. I'll show you how it works, okay? All right, so we're going to look at a lot of Hebrew. 2 pages of it. I divided it up into 4 portions. We're going to look at all 4 portions. First one is Ele Toldot Noach. Noach. Isn't that strange? Ele Toldot Noach. Noach. Says him twice. Why do you think it says him twice?
Well, so a lot of times when they say that the thing twice is like a confirmation, but it's also like, pay attention. This is important.
Yes, yeah, pay attention is important. But there's another thing, it's like there's 2 of them.
Right, the spiritual man and
right, the spiritual man and the physical man, or the good guy and the bad guy, however you want to put it. So both of him show up here in the Hebrew.
Where does it have his name twice in the Hebrew?
Say it again?
Yep.
Where does it have his name twice in the Hebrew?
Noach, Noach.
Oh, okay.
See it?
In the middle of it, okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
El Toledot, Ele Toledot, these are the generations or genealogies. Noach, Noach. Ish Tzadik Tamim. Tzadik Tamim. Righteous and perfect.
Wow.
I mean, that's
It
pretty amazing.
It's about as good as
Yeah, it doesn't even say and. It just says righteous, perfect, right? Was he. Bedorotav, in his generation. Okay, there it is. There's the qualifying statement. He was righteous, he was perfect in his generation. So we're going to look at what that means and why the rabbis kind of go off on that.
And it's a big deal because they say there's always so many righteous in the world, and that's why God is allowing.
How many righteous are there in the world?
10?
Nope.
Isn't it 10?
Lamed Vav. 36. There's always 36 righteous in every generation. But that's a different issue. Okay, so he was righteous, perfect in his generations. Okay, with God walked Noach. Hitalech Noach. Hitalech Noach. With God, Et ha-Elohim, with God, hitalech Noach, walked Noach. Now, the second part. Vatishachet. Now, this word, the root word, tishchat, or tashchut, or tishachet, or anything of that variation, shows up 3 times in this verse. It's in purple. Vatishachet haaretz lifnei ha-Elohim, and destroyed. Now it says corrupted in a lot of translations, and corrupted was the earth before God. Destroyed is a better translation of tishachet. And destroyed was the earth before God, and filled was earth with violent robbery, with Hamas. And God saw the earth, and behold, nishchata, same word, destroyed. Ki hishchit, there it is again. Kal basar et darko haaretz, for all flesh destroyed his way on the earth. So the rabbis go into a discussion. The sages say, okay, is it like when it says his way? Who's the his? Is it like each person's way, or is it his way, God's way?
Well, it's capitalized, so it would be his way.
Well, there's no capitalization in Hebrew.
Okay.
I'm going to go with God's way.
I did that.
God's way.
I did that.
Well, because you put that, I would say.
Okay. So I was supposed to put that in purple because that's something we're going to focus on. Yeah, it's God's way.
Okay, Hamas, it also has it's hot. So the violence, can it also be like this boiling over of violence?
I don't know the word Hamas.
Oh, okay.
I've looked at it a little bit, but I don't know enough to say anything about it.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
All right. Vatishachet, nishchata, hishchit. Same word 3 times. Now, if that doesn't get our attention, that's what he's focusing on. Destroyed, destroyed, destroyed. Right, he's not happy. Vayomer Elohim leNoach, ketz kol basar.
It hasn't changed. Oh, no, it did.
Okay. Vayomer Elohim leNoach. I just figured out what you were doing. Shift. Vayomer Elohim leNoach, ketz kol basar. We're going to focus on this. End of all flesh, ketz kol basar. Balifne has come before me. Ki malah haaretz Hamas, because for it's filled the earth with Hamas. Mipnehem v'hineni mashchitam haaretz. And here's that word again. So because the world is destroyed, I'm going to destroy mashchitam. That's the same word. I'm going to destroy the earth. I will destroy them with the earth. All right. So why is God going to destroy the earth? Because they destroyed it. It's pretty simple, right? They destroyed my way. So I'm going to destroy the earth.
You want to destroy it? Fine, I'll destroy it.
Exactly. Vayomer Adonai leNoach bo ata. God said to Noach, come, you, v'chal beitecha, and all your house, el hateva, into the ark, otcha, for you, ra'iti, I see, tzaddik. There it is again. For everybody, I see you, tzaddik. I see you righteous. Lipnei bador hazeh, in this generation. So every time he says Noah's righteous, he links it with the generation.
Well, compared to.
Exactly. My dad, no, it wasn't my dad, it was somebody else I picked it up from. Somebody taught me this phrase. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
Right?
Yeah.
In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. That's true. In other words, everything. My dad used to say, everything's relative. Everything is relative. It depends on how you're looking at it. It depends on who you're comparing it to. Millions and millions and millions and millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of believers look at themselves as righteous because of who they're surrounded by. Millions of Jews look at themselves as trash, as garbage, because of who they're surrounded with. They go, oh God, I'm such garbage. I need to try harder. I need to push harder. But only because there are people pushing harder around them. And we've seen that with Rabbi Anava many, many times. He's always like pushing and pushing and pushing and looking at himself and like, oh, I'm trash. Because of those Jews that surround him that are so righteous, that are trying, really trying. So it all depends on who you're surrounded with.
Well, isn't it also that he, like David said, my sin is ever before me, so that therefore you know what garbage you are.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, if you keep your sin in front of you.
you're constantly looking at it. It's like,
Yeah.
this is why I came to you, Lord, because I can see
Right.
the scumbag I was.
But then you get around a bunch of people who love worshiping the Lord and love Bible study. And then everybody looks at each other and like, oh, we're also righteous. And that it's just natural. It's social conventions that happen, always happen. But what we're going to look at is why God said he was righteous. And is it good, or is it bad, or is it okay, or is it mediocre? All right. Bedorotav, in his generations. Some of the sages explain this to his credit. He was righteous even though he was in that garbage generation that had destroyed everything. If he had been in a generation of righteous people, he would have been even more righteous because that's just his bent. Some sages explain this to his discredit. He was a righteous person only in comparison with his own generation. But had he been in the generation of Abraham, nobody would have even looked at him. He'd be nothing as far as righteousness. So, what do you think? Do you go with the first view or the second view?
Yes.
So, right, they're both in the Talmud. And not one of the views was thrown out by the people who were writing the Talmud, which means that they're both valid. But one is more valid than the other. And here's why. No, because of timing. Timing is everything. So, like in the distant past, when people were so righteous compared to the way the world is now, they looked at Noach differently. I mean, you take Noach and you set him in this environment, in this world.
Very righteous.
You don't know. We don't know. He might be like Superman, righteous, or he might be just like everybody else. So that's what we're going to look at. We're going to try to figure out which one it is and why. Okay? Noach walked with God. Et ha Elohim hithalech Noach. And with God, Noach walked. Hithalech, walked. But about Abraham, it says, hithalech lifnei. Walk before me. That's what God told Abraham. Yeah. Walk before me. God didn't say that to Noach.
No.
And it also says, Asher hital halachti lifnav. Asher hitalachti lifnav. Before whom I have walked. This is Abraham talking. God said, walk before me. And then Abraham, when he was older, says, hey, the God before whom I walked, this is up another level from Noach. This is up another level. It's a totally different thing to walk with God. And then you talk to any believer, and that's what they say. I'm walking with the, are you walking with the Lord? Yes, we're walking with the Lord. How's your walk with God? I'm walking with God. Are you walking with God? I'm having trouble walking with God. But that's not Abraham. Abraham said, I went. I'm walking before the Lord. I mean, that's like Superman. That's confidence. And so the rabbis picked up on that.
Hey, you taught on that one week, you know, following God, walking with him, walking before him.
Yes, last year
Right.
at this time. So here's how. The difference is Noach required God's support to uphold him in his righteousness.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Good thing.
Yeah, depends on how you look at it.
Depends on how you look at it. Exactly right. It depends on how you look at it. I mean, it's not bad. We're supposed to depend on God.
Well, and it's good that he looked to God to lift him up and hold him up.
Yeah.
That's good.
But compared to Abraham, who strengthened himself
Didn't need it.
morally
Right.
and conducted himself righteously by his own efforts,
Right.
that's a much higher level. To be mature enough to do the right thing, to do Torah on our own without having to have somebody hold our hand. Yes.
Makes me think of that parable of Noah and how he saw idolatry and he taught his dad.
Abraham.
I said Abraham.
You said Noah.
I said, no, oh, I'm sorry, Abraham. Abraham, that's what I meant. Abraham taught his dad.
Right.
Look, these guys,
Right.
they're idols. They don't have a life of their own.
And Abraham, on his own, confronted his family about the idolatry.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very difficult thing to do, to not have to be led by the hand to do Judaism. It's really hard
To take the initiative, right?
to take the initiative and to not
Strong.
get lazy. It's very hard. But Abraham did it. He was a Gentile. Noach, a man righteous, perfect he was in his generation, with God walked Noach. Okay, so why are we going to talk about the birth pangs and the day of the Lord? Because Yeshua says that the birth pangs are like the days of Noach, which we'll look at. So, but even his name talks about the day of the Lord. Noach means rest. In Hebrews chapters 3 and 4, it says 5 times that the day of the Lord is called the day of rest, the seventh day, a day, and just rest, right? Menucha. And it says it over and over and over again. And then in Mishnah Tamid, it says on Shabbat, they would recite the psalm beginning a song for Shabbat day. That's Psalm 92. This is interpreted. Now this is in the Mishnah, not Midrash, not like stories. Mishnah, which is how Judaism was done.
I'm gonna have to excuse myself.
Okay.
I have a flood
Okay.
in my house.
Oh, no.
My own flood.
Oh, no.
Well, go be Noah.
I'll be right back.
This is interpreted as a psalm, a song for the future, for the day that will be Yom Shekulo Shabbat, a day that is entirely Shabbat, and rest. Rest, menucha. What does Noach mean?
Rest.
Rest. Do you know why he was called Noach? Do you know, in the scriptures it says why he was called Noach. Do you know why? Because his dad Terah said, this one will give us rest from working the ground.
Okay.
In other words, he invented the plow. Because they would sow wheat and thorns would come up. And so Noach, the prophecy was, this one will save us from having to work the ground. It doesn't say anything about the flood or anything like that. It's about agriculture. That was the prophecy. And so in the Talmud it says that, yeah, he invented the plowshares. And he taught the rest of all the people how to use it. So he's like the father of agriculture and saved the people from having to work so hard. And that's why Now, that's a picture, because in the day of the Lord, we're not going to have to work and, work so hard, and we sow wheat, and what comes up? Thorns. But not anymore, not in the kingdom, because Noach, rest, it's a day of rest, and everything's easier. Make sense? Well, that's the prophecy. That's what it says in the scriptures. Rest for life everlasting. Genesis 7:6. Now Noach was 600. So what's that a picture of?
6,000 years?
What's that a picture of?
6 days.
6 days or 6,000 years. He was 600 years old when the flood of water came on the earth. So when Yeshua says it's like the days of Noach, to me, it's literal. It's literally 6,000 years, 600 years. The days of Noach were 600 years. And so it's literally like the days of Noach. Do you like that picture? I cobbled that together from 4 different illustrations. So, the resurrection takes place 6001 at Rosh Hashanah. Mechayeh Hamatim, the resurrection of the dead, and then 7 years of the birth pangs. Now, those birth pangs are like the days of Noach, like this. Except that it's literally like the days of Noah, 600 years. Do you know how old Noach was when the water receded from the earth?
608?
He's already, no, not 608, but that would be pretty cool.
100 and
Yeah, right.
something?
No, he's already 600
Oh, okay.
when the flood came. So do you know how old he was when the flood receded, and it was a new world? 601, like the year 6001. Yeah,
Okay.
like it's the same picture. The same picture, one laid right on top of the other. When the flood started, when the flood left. It's both 600, 601.
Huh.
Now, God saw the earth and behold, destroyed, for all flesh destroyed, hishchit, his way on the earth. And it is God's way. So that means God had already shown his way,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Judaism.
It was already there.
It was already there. And they destroyed it. And it's very specific how they destroyed it. We're going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it a whole lot because I don't know a whole lot about it. There are other people who've done a much, much better job of teaching it because I just don't know a whole lot about it, but I am going to talk about it. The specificity of how they destroyed, how they perverted and destroyed. But look what Rashi says about this. For all flesh are beasts and animals and birds' flesh and fish. All flesh had destroyed. Even animals, beasts, and birds consorted with species other than their own, creating Archaeopteryx, Tyrannosaurus rex, Brontosaurus burgers.
So they were misbehaving too.
They were having sex between species. They were mixing their seed between species. Now, all I'm going to do is say what Rashi said. Remember, everything Rashi says, where does he get it from?
Other sages.
Other sages. All the sages, he cobbles them all together and looks at the picture that they paint. So if you want to know about this, you got to do the research on your own. But if you're trying to figure out how a bear has sex with a fish, don't even go there because the logistics are mind-boggling. But the animals were having interspecies mating, destroying God's way, his derech. And the humans were having sex with animals. Now, Leviticus 18 says, do not have carnal relations with any beast. Why would God put that in the Torah? Because it had happened before, and that's how it's destroyed the earth.
Still doing it now.
Carnal relations with any beast, and defile yourself thereby. Likewise, for a woman, she shall not give herself to a beast to mate with it. It is, now here's an amazing word. I remember learning this a long time ago. People were talking about homosexuality was just starting to become a thing. And the Christians were fighting, as best they could to keep it out of the laws and all that sort of thing. But they wouldn't talk about it. They would talk around it, but they wouldn't talk about it. And then finally it broke enough. Focus on the Family, the guy who had that program, actually, Dr. Dobson, actually said it out loud and started really talking about it clearly. And I was like, oh God, finally somebody is talking about it. And every time I heard it, I would think this word, confusion.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's confusion, tevel. Because, think about it. You see a trans person, and what do you think? What is that?
Confused.
I'm confused. What is that?
Psychotic.
It's just immediate confusion. You see Christians now knowing Judaism, or at least some of Judaism, and you look at Christians, what they teach, what they see, you might hear a teaching, that sort of thing, and what does it do? Immediate confusion. What? It's mixing all kinds of things. This is it. This is the whole story of why God destroyed the earth. It's confusion. It's mixing. We're going to look at some details of it. V'tishchet had become corrupt, or had become destroyed. This is also from Rashi. An expression denoting immorality and idol worship. Well, who says? He got it from the sages. So what they did was they took verses with the same word, shachat. That's the root word. They took verses with the same word, chashat, destroyed, and they looked at why God said that was destruction. Idolatry, sexual immorality. Every time is glued to it. And so they go, okay, that's what Tishchit is about. What they did to the earth is always glued to immorality and idol worship. And then he gives a little example. Idol worship as in, lest you become corrupt or destroyed. Tashchitun. And make a sculpted image for you. There's one example, Deuteronomy 4:16. And here's another one. Immorality, like in Deuteronomy 6:12. Perverted Genesis 6:12, this verse. Perverted his way. Now it says it's in a lot of the translations, so I put it's just for fun, but it's his way. Yes?
Is that the similar word to shotness?
No.
It's not?
No.
Because that's the main
No.
and also different.
Go ahead.
I was thinking about the 10 words, the one where you shall have no other gods before you, and then you shall not commit adultery. It's idolatry and immorality. That's how I saw it, that they're two sides of the same coin.
Yes, they're two sides of the same coin. They're always mixed.
Yes,
And I don't know why.
You see immorality, then there's idolatry.
I've always wondered that, I say it this way, and it sounds kind of crude, so don't get freaked out, but this is how I always saw it. Why it used to be like this, I don't know if it still is, you'd have a Messianic Jewish man and a Messianic Gentile woman, and they'd always end up having sex. And it's about a religious thing. It's, the Lord. And then I would see in the scriptures, the Moabites would be worshiping their God with orgies. Ammonites worshiping their God with orgies. Egyptians worshiping their God with orgies. I'm like, what is going on here that idolatry is always linked with sex? But it is. It always is. It's two sides of the same coin. I don't know why, but it is. I don't know why.
And then in the New Testament, it has about, that sexual immorality, because it is something that goes within. It goes inside the body.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
not something that's on the outside. It goes inside the body.
Right.
And that's always been something that's stuck.
Yeah, there's a million different things we could say about it, but ultimately, I don't really know why. Like a bottom line reason. But I'm sure y'all can have your own views of that.
Having sex is intimacy.
Yeah.
It's the highest form of
to me.
Yeah, like I said, you all can have your ideas of why, which is fantastic. I'm just not smart enough to cull them all together and give like a bottom line thing. But that's okay. You understand what I'm saying. I understand you. Okay. Now we're going to go into that, what you just brought up. Another interpretation, hishchit, destruction, is an expression of mixing and intermixture of the seed of mankind and the seed of animals. And that's from Rashi. Where did Rashi get it? From all of the statements of the sages. Now, this is called kilayim. Oh, I was going to bring I have a full set of the Mishnah, and I was going to bring the one that has kilayim in it. There's a tractate in the Mishnah called kilayim, and it means mixtures, okay? Intermixtures. And it comes from Leviticus 19 and Deuteronomy 22. And the very first thing in kilayim is it says, you can't sow melons in the same field as pumpkins, or something like that.
Right.
You can sow green beans in the same field as lima beans, things like that.
Beans.
So it goes to the specificity of what you can mix and what you cannot mix. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So do not mix two kinds of seed in your field. Don't mix or graft together. What about,
See a lot of that.
well, hold on. What about Romans 11 that says that God
It's grafted.
grafted the Gentiles into, so is that against kilayim?
No, because they should be coming to Judaism.
No. Don't think spiritually. I'm asking you about kilayim. Mixtures. It says, don't graft together
Well, they're still human.
different. We're not talking spiritually. I'm talking about kilayim. Don't graft together two different species of trees. So why does God graft together the wild olive tree and a regular olive tree?
They're the same
Olive
species.
trees.
No, because it's the same species.
Same
They're
species.
both olive.
They're both olive trees.
So you fit
So you got to look at the physical first before you look at the spiritual. All right. Don't mix two species of plants or vegetables of any kind. Don't yoke together an ox and a donkey or any kind of beasts that are unequal. Don't crossbreed different animals. What's the dogs that everybody loves because they're they're hypoallergenic?
poodles,
What do they call them?
labradoodles,
What is it?
labradoodle, a
Labradoodles.
labrador and a poodle.
A Labrador and a poodle. That breaks the Torah.
It does.
Any interbreeding of species
And
is,
if they're both dogs.
Yes,
even if they're both dogs, because they're different
Yes, yes.
species.
just like Tiffany said.
Like Tevye said, can a bird love a fish? A bird may love a fish, but where will they make their home together? Exactly.
Or a liger.
A liger breaks the Torah too. Do not mix wool and linen. So that's sha'atness, what Eileen brought up. It's so much bigger. It's so much bigger. And it really is the reason that God destroyed the earth.
Right.
It's kilayim. That's the reason. Now, God saw the earth and behold, destroyed. For all flesh destroyed, hishchit, his way on the earth. There's a million things you can find on the internet about the Nephilims, the Nephilim. There's no such thing as Nephilims. It's Nephilim. Im is plural. Nephilim. These kind of photographs are all garbage. They're all just photoshopped. It's ridiculous. This is also, I believe, photoshopped, but they cobbled together real images from real sculptures from the Persian period, I believe. This starts getting to the point of our problem. This is just a romanticized version of this verse. This talks about the Nephilim. I mean, the title of the sculpture is this verse that talks about the Nephilim, that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful and took whoever they wanted. That's the name of this sculpture. It's romanticized, it's very Hellenistic, and the Nephil is the same size as the woman.
Right.
In the Talmud, it says like this, that they were 450 feet. It doesn't say feet. It says cubits or ells. It says 450 feet tall.
That's bigger than I imagined.
450 feet tall. So my question is,
Huge.
how did they breed with women?
Carefully.
The logistics are mind-boggling, except for the fact that they're shapeshifters. They're shapeshifters, aren't they? The angel of the Lord showed up, how?
In the form of a man.
And in the form of a man. More than once, more than one man. Right? So angels can shapeshift. Spirits can shapeshift.
Okay, yeah.
Nephilim can shapeshift. I really like this ridiculous painting because there's one of the Nephilim saying, "Oh, I like that woman," and he's putting a garment on her of the sheep so that she will be like a sheep and he can breed with her. And this guy on the right is just running away. Do you get what it's saying?
Yeah.
It's saying interbreeding of species. Now this is from, I think it's the 1600s. It's a ridiculous Hellenistic painting, but I really like it because of the point it gets across. So here's what it's led to. Interspecies grafting, which we've already talked about. I mean, Fuji apples and Granny Smith apples and all these different kind of apples.
Seedless grapes.
Seedless grapes. They were all invented by men.
Right.
By grafting, and say it again?
The grapple, the apple, and
The grapple, the grape, and the apple, all that. It was all invented by people by interbreeding species of plant life, which totally breaks the Torah. And that's what caused God to destroy the earth, was mixture,
Right.
confusion, no specificity. Interbreeding, we've talked about that. Do you guys know what a GMO is? Because I don't.
Genetically modified organism.
Yeah, where they graft, like, it's like the grapple, you know, like the.
Okay.
Just change the DNA of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chemically, right?
And we talked about this. before.
I know, you're going to have to talk about it 15 times for me to understand it. Because it's not something that I spend, it's not something I spend time studying.
Right.
So I have to hear it a bunch of times. GMO, so it's the same thing. It's just modifying the DNA, right?
Right.
Which is totally unscriptural. Once you get down to the DNA level, you are now doing what the Nephilim did.
Right.
Which was to change the structure of the DNA of human beings.
Right. That's God's business. Leave it alone.
And not only is it God's business, leave it alone, but it caused the destruction of earth, and it's going to do it again.
Yeah.
And it's already happening. There are human beings that have modified DNA. I don't want to go into it because I don't know enough about it. But there's a lot on the internet that has been taught about it. Some of it's just nonsense. And some of it, say it again?
HIV.
Some of it is verifiable. I don't know how to verify things like this.
Some
So
of the vaccines have the proteins which can modify the DNA.
Yeah, that's
in
the
our-
whole
in our-
premise of the mRNA
Yeah.
vaccine is to do that.
So-
And it did.
okay, all that sort of thing, if it's verifiable, yeah, follow up on it and learn.
Yeah, I have.
And I've tried to do some of that, but I have to be taught it because my brain doesn't work like that. With scripture, I can do it, but with science and things, I'm not very nimble at it, so I need help. But the same exact thing that happened then is happening now, which is another reason why the birth pangs are called the days of Noah.
Right.
Because it is just like the days of Noah in this, on a DNA level now.
Yeah,
On a DNA level.
that's like that factory that God created within us. It's like, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
It's amazing.
Okay, so I have a question for you. If the DNA is being modified and changed and restructured and bent and destroyed, can somebody whose his DNA has been modified know the Lord?
That's a good question.
Can they do Judaism?
I wonder.
I would say.
Why?
Yeah.
Anybody can do Judaism. Judaism is for everybody. And now we're back to Judaism is for everybody.
Were any of the people that God spoke through gay?
What?
Were
Gay.
any of the people that God spoke through gay?
Are you saying,
Were they gay?
oh, homosexual?
Yeah.
Don't say gay. Gay means happy.
Okay, were they homosexual?
And that is a real propaganda point
Right.
that we cannot swallow. So are you saying any of the people that God spoke through homosexual?
Were they?
No, of course not, because they'd be breaking the Torah in about, well, 7 I can think of, 7 different major mitzvot.
That's what the point he's trying to make. If
That's
your
why.
DNA has been modified, are you capable?
HIV.
Okay, you're going at it backwards. Listen to my question. If somebody's DNA has been modified, jacked with, bent, destroyed, can they, by an act of their will, do Judaism? By an act of their will.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody can know the Lord. Anybody. Now,
Yeah, that's a soul and spiritual issue.
Exactly.
Not a physical.
exactly. Judaism is a spiritual level. It's not physical. It's spiritual. Now, doing Judaism has to be done in order to learn from it.
Well, you bring it to
Anybody
the
can do
physical,
that.
yeah.
Now, did Noach tell people about Judaism?
I'm sure you did.
Here's the question. And this is what is coming to the point of what I want to say. Is this as good as righteousness gets? So we have to think about, first of all, did Noach preach? Do you know?
Cried out to them to repent.
How do you know that?
Um,
How do you know that Noah cried out to them to repent?
I believe it says that.
Lifestyle.
Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay. All right, so let's talk more about this twisting of the
We
DNA.
didn't even mention that top one with the giant skull. What is that?
I did. I said these are all ridiculous,
Oh, okay.
photoshopped, and they're just ridiculous. Okay. Zerah means seed. When God spoke, I really enjoyed that teaching last week, by the way. When God spoke, he created every single thing, even the elements, by what?
His word. Torah.
A word is made out of what?
Speaking to Torah.
Rock.
The alphabet.
The alphabet, the letters. Everything was created by the letters, by the 22 letters of the alphabet. Because in the letters, and I don't know how, don't even ask me how to explain it because I don't know how to explain it. But in the letters is the seed, which is why he created everything by his word. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nehiyeh bidvaro. Blessed are you, Lord our God, everlasting King, who created everything by his word, by the words out of his mouth, which are the Hebrew letters. So, everything was created by them. That's the seed. It was the seed inside all living things and non-living things. Rocks. Everything is not alive. Even rocks, water. That seed was the light. It was the light of life, or chayai. Or chayai, the spark of light, or chayai. Now, where does that phrase light of life show up? Do you know? Do you know where that phrase, light of life, shows up in the Bible?
Oh, I don't remember.
John chapter 1, verse 2. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word was the light. Remember? The light of life, the light of men. Yes? That made everything alive. Yes?
Yes.
That's the Or Chayai. That's the letters. That's the spark. Now the Nephilim, which the story goes in the Talmud, that there were two, the Talmud and the book of Enoch and the book of somebody else, and I can't remember. The Nephilim, Jubilees, the book of Jubilees. There were 200 angels led by Shamchazai and Uziel, and they said, Shamchazai and Uziel said, hey, let's go down there. because God made a huge mistake in creating humans. They're going to destroy everything. And God argues with them and said, oh, but you'll do a better job? If you go down there, you'll sin faster than they did. Because all you've ever known is perfection. They have a will. No. We are not going to be under their rulership. We are amazing. We're huge and beautiful and perfect. And we're going to be under that, made out of dirt? And he said, okay, go ahead. And so 200 of them bound themselves by oath on Mount Hermon. They fell and they went to Mount Hermon and made an oath that we are all going to do the same thing. We're going to take women, human women, and create a real species, the real thing, supermen, Übermenschen, the real thing. And so, we know what happened. So they defiled the spark, the Or Chayai, the spark of life that was in everything on a DNA level, that zara or seed.
Interns messing with source code.
Say it again?
Trainees saying that they can do better than
the trainer. Yes, yeah. Students thinking they can do better than the teacher. It's always the same. Right. Zerah or seed of God by blurring all the boundaries. That's what they did. Mm-hmm. They just blurred all the boundaries. All. Even in the rocks.
How?
By changing the DNA, by changing the spark, by muddying up that spark of life that was in everything. They changed all the boundaries.
Like rocks are inherently innate. They're not alive.
Do they have the spark of life in them?
They have the spark of life.
How do you know?
Because it says they have
God
the spark.
says-
Because God created it. Right.
That says even
Spark
the
of life.
Okay, keep going.
So, how do they blur that? They just gave autonomy to the rock?
So to speak,
creation.
is there anywhere in the scriptures where people worshipped rocks?
The only thing I can think of is idolatry.
Well, that's too bad because it's all the way through the Bible. It's called Metzivah. We were talking about it last night. We were watching a show where they showed Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Every nation on earth has these. Metzivah. It's an erected stone. Mm-hmm. Every nation on earth has it. You ever seen the Metzivah in Norway? They're all of them look like phalluses. Yeah. Millions of them everywhere. Japan has the same thing. Egypt has the same thing. They call it, what do they call that? The obelisk. Every nation on earth has it.
DC?
Every nation on earth has them. Please don't get sidetracked. Every nation on earth has stone gods. And that's what the Nephilim did. They basically made inanimate things animate with the twisting and bending and muddying up of the boundaries of DNA. Not that rocks have DNA, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even on a seed or DNA level, they did this. Now, this is what, I know this is true because Satan has a seed, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know Satan has a seed?
Because it says it in Genesis. Right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Genesis 3:15. And I will make enemies of you, Hasatan, and the woman, Hava, and your seed, Satan's seed,
Yep.
and her seed. So Satan has a seed, just like God has a seed. Well, that seed is twisted, and there's no light in it, and the DNA is all bent up and twisted and messed up. That's what we're seeing.
Right.
Now, I said when COVID hit and things just kind of exploded in our understanding of what was happening, I said back then, you're going to see homosexuality just explode. And it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And you're going to see religion linked with it, worse and worse and worse. And I mean all religions, even born-again Christians, mix with homosexuality, and that's what's happening. I really like this picture in particular. Can you see? I don't even know what that is. I mean, talk about confusion. I don't know where that is. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's supposed to be. I don't know anything. I look at that and confusion.
Stop gender.
Yeah.
Stop gender.
Stop gender. There are now protests going on all over Europe. Stop gender. It's a quote movement. The anti-gender movement.
I don't know why you're laughing at, like, the stupidity of it, or it's just the level of...
That doesn't make you laugh?
I mean,
Putting
like,
a gut
What is that?
Stop it. Did you know, can I say something? I don't know if you want to cut this out, but did you know that one of the biggest areas,
Speak louder.
one of the biggest areas of conversion of men to women and women to, mostly men to women, is in the Middle East?
No, I did not know that.
And I just heard that, like, I think last week. And the reason is because they're so against homosexuality. It's like, okay, let's just make that one a woman. And then that way it's not homosexuality.
Okay, that makes
And it
sense.
just blew my mind. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But that is like, it's bigger there than it ever has been here in the U.S.
And I think that a lot of believers think that, they're protesting, so we should go protest it, or we need to fight it.
We need to show love.
No, they say we need to fight it.
Oh.
You're fighting the Nephilim. You're 450 feet tall, and you're going to fight it? Come on. I think that's why the stories say that the Nephilim were 450 feet tall. Because there's no way to fight it. When we watch the movies, the Hobbit movies, and the Lord of the Rings series, and those ogres come out that are about, were they like 12 feet tall? Something like that. And they're enormous, and they got muscles, big giant muscles. And there's hobbits, which are midgets, with a little sword this big. And all I can ever think of is, it's so unfair. Well, that's how it is. That's how it is. They're called the mighty men of old, the men of renown. The Givorim, the mighty men of old. They're not just tall, they're powerful. So this is basically a tide that it's gonna win. It's gonna get worse. So God and Hasatan both have seed, and that's what we're seeing. But anybody can do Judaism. This, I don't even know what it is. Whatever it is, can do Judaism. They can do it. It is tevel. It is confusion. It's mixing species, mixing the sexes, and mixing holiness and evil, which is Hellenism. That's what Hellenism is. It's taking all the stuff from Rome, let's mix it with Judaism and call it the Jewish Jesus. And it's tevel, it's confusion, it's very confusing. I know I'm not supposed to say this stuff, but it is. I've been living with this for 47 years, so I don't care anymore. It is what it is. And I've watched it happen, and I've watched it grow. I've watched where it came from. I've watched it develop in all of its details. And I said, this is where that comes from. And this is where that's coming from. And this is where that's coming from. And everybody told me, oh, don't talk like that. The Jewish Jesus, and it's Jesus Christ, the people saying the Jewish Jesus, and then when they get down to the part of the preaching where they give an invitation, they say, now if you'd like to come to Jesus Christ, and this is talking about a Jewish Yeshua? So it's a mixture, and anybody can do Judaism. The number one way that this has traditionally been done and spread is Hellenism. Now, originally, I didn't have this as part of the teaching at all. But the more I looked at it, the more I was like, oh my God, it's so obvious. This is nothing new. I mean, men and women being married. When was the first time that happened? No, men. I'm sorry, men marrying men and women marrying women. I'm sorry. That was very unclear. Right. Men marrying men and women marrying women. When was the first time that happened?
I don't know the first time, but it was very popular in Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
Okay, so back in the Bible.
Then.
Syria, maybe.
Well, it happened in Greece.
Yeah.
It happened in Rome.
Rome.
It's nothing new, but when it happened,
Rebranded.
right, it's rebranded. And when Obama made it into an amendment, or made it law, and so all the men with men and women with women had started cheering in the streets, I'm like, okay, we've gone back to Greece. It's nothing new.
There was something that I saw in Israel that really made me sad, but it's what everybody in the world is doing. They had this restaurant for the blind, but the whole thing was they served all the food in the darkness so that you could relate to the blind, like
Yeah.
celebrating blindness. And I thought, how sad! Like they're uplifting blindness and trying to get everybody to go into the experience of the blind. It's like, no, that's wrong.
Let's get there. Let's heal them and make them be able to see.
Yeah.
So this is nothing new. Number one. Number two, it's going to get worse because Hasatan has a seed.
That's not worse right there. That guy has a full-on beard.
It's going to get worse. I don't know how it can get worse, but it's going to get worse. Now, you just said that guy has a full-on beard. How do you know that's a guy?
Androgyny. It's androgyny.
That tevel, that confusion. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the Ketz Kol Basar. Because of all that, God wiped out the earth. God wiped out the earth, and he said, Ketz Kol Basar, I've seen the end of all flesh. So we're just going to look at a few verses about the end of all flesh. Ezekiel 7. Look how many times it's emboldened. An end. The end is coming. Now the end is upon you. Haketz alecha. The end is upon you. I will send my anger against you. When is that? God's anger. The day of the Lord, the birth pangs. And he calls it Haketz, the end. Then he says, a disaster, a unique disaster. Behold, it comes. End comes. Ketzba. The end has come. Look at that in Hebrew. Ketzba. Ketzba. End come. Behold, it comes. End comes. The end has come. Ba haketz. Your doom has come. The day of turmoil. Okay, there it is. The day of turmoil. What's that?
Birth pangs.
The day of the Lord. Yeah, the birth pangs. It's one of the titles of the birth pangs. Day of turmoil. Then he says, my wrath. Then he says, my anger. Is there any doubt that this is the birth pangs? And he calls it Haketz. Haketz. Daniel 8. Now this is a long passage, so we're going to kind of skip through it a little bit. I looked in the vision, and behold, a ram which had 2 horns, and there's 2 long horns. One comes up after the other one, and there's a male goat with 1 horn, like a unicorn goat, and he comes and he smashes the ram with 2 horns. And he struck the ram, smashed his 2 horns. Here's a picture of it. And this is Alexander. This, who did Alexander defeat? What kingdom?
Medo-Persia.
Say it louder.
Medo-Persia.
Medo-Persia. So this is Medo-Persia. How many horns does he have? 2. Medo-Persia. And so Alexander comes up with his 1 horn. He destroys that ram with the 2 horns. Let's go to, now look. And once he became powerful, the large horn was broken. And in its place, 4 horns came up. And out of one of those 4 horns, a small horn grew, very great. And some of the stars it threw down to the earth. So who is the small horn? I can't hear you.
Antiochus?
Antiochus, so the false Messiah? Yes. And it is Antiochus, and it is, in the future, the false Messiah. And he throws down some of the stars to earth and trampled them. It exalted itself. It removed the daily sacrifice from God. So he stops the sacrifices, and he throws down the place of the sanctuary. I was frightened, and I fell on my face, and I wanted to understand it. Son of man, understand the vision is, what does he say? Le'et haketz, to the time of the end. And who is this about? Alexander and Medo-Persia. But it's for the end time. In other words, all that happened before is going to happen again. And Alexander is going to produce the false Messiah. Yes?
Yes.
Pretty simple. Behold, I tell you what will be at the latter indignation, for it is to the appointed end, la moed ketz. Now he says three different phrases here that put it in the day of the Lord. He calls it the time of the end. He calls it the latter. What's latter? Acharit. Latter days. Acharit yamim. And then he calls it the appointed end, la moed ketz. Three different phrases that put it in the day of the Lord, and it's about Alexander. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, here's a blow up of that picture that was at the bottom. You have Alexander, the goat. He's got one horn. Then 4 horns grow up. Alexander's kingdom was divided into Seleucus, Ptolemy, Cassander, Lysimachus. This first one, Seleucus, produced Antiochus Epiphanes. And that one horn grows up with a big mouth, and it's the false Messiah. And it comes out of Seleucus, out of Alexander. Revelation 13, 1 through 2 says, Then I saw a beast coming up out of the sea, having 10 horns and 7 heads, and on his horns were 10 crowns, and on his heads were disgusting names. And the beast that I saw was like a leopard. That's Greece. Daniel 7, in the Daniel 7 vision, the leopard is Greece. The beast that everybody talks about, the beast, in the day of the Lord, in the birth pangs, is like a leopard. It's like Alexander. It's like Hellenism. Well, it's Hellenism. It is Hellenism. I've been preaching the same ridiculous word for more than 25 years. Basically saying, beware of Hellenism, beware of Hellenism, beware of Hellenism. Hellenism is gotten into Christianity and infected it, polluted it, and nobody wants to hear it. But I'm going to keep saying it because now I have way more information about it and I know how to present it much better. Now it is crystal clear to me. The beast in the false Messiah in the day of the Lord is Hellenism incarnate. It's a dude, but he is Hellenism, just like Alexander. All right, and then, again, we're looking at Ketz Kol Basar. What does that mean?
The end of all flesh.
You see it on the top? Mm-hmm. End of all flesh, Ketz Kol Basar. Daniel 11 says until the end, to the appointed time. Od Ketz La Moed. That's Od, until, Ketz, end, La Moed, to the appointed time. Daniel 11:35. So some of those who have insight will fall. Until Ad Haketz, until the end. Because it is still Od La Moed, until the appointed time. Okay? And then it says it in Daniel 11:40. And in the time of the end, Uvet Ketz, and in the time of the end. There it is again. Daniel 12:13, the last chapter of Daniel. But as for you, go to, No, this is not how it translates it in English. It says, now Daniel, go to, I don't know what it says, go to your rest or something. For you will, go to your rest and rise for your inheritance at the end of the day. It's not what it says. What it says is, as for you, go to the end. Leketz. To the end. Why is he telling Daniel, go to the end? To the day of the Lord.
He needs to see something there.
I feel like I lost you. Why would God say to Daniel, or the angel say to Daniel, go to the Ketz, and then you're going to rise to your inheritance?
For an understanding?
How about that that's when he's going to rise?
Yeah.
Isn't that when the resurrection's going to happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go to the Etz, and you will rise.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty simple. For you will rest and rise to your inheritance at Leketz Hayamim, at the end of days. So, how many times does it say it here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times it says it from Daniel 11:27 to Daniel 12:13. The end, the end, the end, the end. There's no doubt that Ketz Kol Basar, the end of all flesh, is the birth pangs in the day of the Lord. There's no doubt. We've got all this evidence to show it. See how many times it says the end? And then it talks about the day of the Lord and God's wrath, the birth pangs. Okay. Now, here's one thing I want you to see. God wiped out every human on the planet except for Noach and his family, right?
Yeah.
No. There was one person that clung to the side of the
that's right.
ark.
Yeah.
Now, this showed up in the last movie about Noach, and I thought, well, how stupid is that? They just invented that. No, they didn't. It's in the Talmud.
Right.
I didn't know that when I saw the last movie about Noach. It's in the Talmud that Og, king of Bashan, clung to the side of the ark. Now, whether it's true or not true, it's true. Because how did the seed of the Nephilim get to the other side of the flood? It's the only way for it to happen. Somehow it was carried there. Somehow. Fine. It didn't happen exactly like that. I don't care. I know it was carried from one side of the flood to the other side of the flood, or else how could there be Nephilim? And it says in Genesis, for they existed in that time and afterwards.
Right.
Okay. So, Isaiah 13, well, wait, here's my point. My point is this. God wiped out every human on the planet except for those few on the ark, right?
Yeah.
It's going to happen again. He's going to wipe out almost everybody. Almost everybody. How many people are on the planet now? I don't even know.
Billions.
7, yeah, but how many billion?
Like
Change.
6,
Too many.
7 billion?
I think it's up to around 7 billion people. Well, Isaiah 13 about the birth pangs says, wail, for the day of the Lord is near. They will writhe like a woman in labor, the birth pangs. Behold, the day of the Lord is coming, cruel with fury and burning anger, and he will exterminate its sinners from it.
8 billion.
8 billion now? Wow. Exterminate its sinners from it. I will make mortal man scarcer than pure gold, and mankind than the gold of Ophir. That's a lot. That's a lot of people.
The Bible, also, in Revelation, it says that the blood will flow to the
river
bridle
of
of the next,
the horses.
like a river of blood.
Yeah,
For the horse's bridle.
Yeah.
that's at Har Megiddo. But think about this. Worldwide, think about this. Worldwide, that it's going to be hard to even find a person, just like in the days of Noah. Zephaniah 1:17 says the same thing. In the day of the Lord's anger, he will make a complete destruction, indeed a horrifying one, of all the inhabitants of the earth. Exactly like what God did. So we have evidence in the scriptures that it is going to be exactly like the flood, only not with water.
Mm-hmm. fire.
So there is no doubt that the days of Noach is the birth pangs in the day of the Lord. So we're going to go back. No, we haven't read this. When God said to Noach, "The end of all flesh has come before me," Noach said, "What about me?" And this is why I started it the way I did.
Because he saw himself as righteous.
Because he thought about himself. Abraham didn't. God said, "I'm going to wipe Sodom off the planet. Sodom and Amorah and Admah and Zeboim. I'm going to wipe them off the planet." So what does Abraham do? Prays for them. But Noach didn't. Noach said, "What about me?" But he didn't pray for mercy for the world, as Abraham would pray for the city of Sodom. This is why the flood is called the waters of Noach. Now here, don't get confused here. It's easy to get confused here. That's why it's called the waters of Noach, because he didn't care about people? Here's what it means. Isaiah 54:9 calls it the waters of Noach. He's culpable for them because he didn't appeal for mercy on the world's behalf. But in Isaiah 54, what it says is God does it. God has mercy. That's why it's called the waters of Noach. For a brief moment I abandoned you, Israel, but with great compassion I will gather you, Israel. In an outburst of anger I hid my face from you for a moment, Israel, but with everlasting favor I will have compassion on you, Israel. This is like the days of Noach to me. What does that mean? That means Noach didn't, but I will.
Yes.
And remember, it's about Israel. It's not about the world.
Right.
When I swore that the waters of Noach would never flood the earth again, so I've sworn that I'll never be angry with you, Israel, or rebuke you. My grace will not be removed from you, Israel, nor will my covenant of peace be shaken. So the days of Noach was about the whole world. But God makes his love for Israel like the way it should have been, like what Noach should have had. He should have cared, but he didn't. He cared about himself and his family, which is not a bad thing, but he didn't care for...
Better.
It could have been better. Should have been better. Now, then we come to Matthew 24. For the coming of the Son of Man, what's the date? The coming of the Son of Man, what's the date?
Yom Kippur 6008.
Very good. Yom Kippur, what? 6008 will be just like the days of Noah. For as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and having sex with animals until the day that Noah entered the ark. And they didn't understand until the flood came and took them all away. That's how the coming of the Son of Man will be. It'll be too late. Once you come to the year 6008 at Yom Kippur, birth pangs is over. It's too late.
Missed it.
You missed it. And that is the end of all flesh. The end of all flesh. So, if the day of the Lord wipes away all flesh, and then the kingdom is there, what do you have to be to go into the kingdom?
Alive.
Not flesh.
Right. Not flesh.
Not for itself.
Doesn't the scripture say that? For no flesh and blood will enter the kingdom.
Spiritual beings only.
Only spirit. Only spiritual things. Spiritual life. Judaism.
Right.
Okay. I think this tied it up very nicely in a bow, don't you? It's very clear what Noach is all about. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is this as good as righteousness gets?
No.
Because right now, if you talk to people of faith, people who have faith, it's a lot like Noah. Not like Abraham. Abraham was a Gentile and he did Judaism. I don't know if Noach did Judaism. So again, Noach, what does his name mean? What does his name mean?
Rest.
Rest. And the day of the Lord is called Menucha, the day of rest. So I think that's why God used Noach. He had the right name.
What do you name him?
His dad named him. I think he had the right name. I'll give you another example of God doing that. Melchizedek. Melchizedek was an angel from heaven who became king of Shalem, or king of Jerusalem on earth. But he's just an angel in heaven who had an order. Like there were 24 orders of priests, just like there were 24 orders or courses of angels in heaven. This guy had the right name, Melech Tzadek, king of righteousness. That's the guy I'm going to send down to meet Abraham. I think it's just that simple. Noach was the right picture at the right time. And so that's why God used him. I don't think there's anything special about him. Hebrews 11:7 says, by faith, Noach, being warned by God about things not yet seen in holiness, prepared an ark for the salvation of his house and nobody else, by which he condemned the world. And he became an heir of the righteousness which comes from emunah. So he had faith. Okay, good. That made him righteous. Is that as good as it gets?
Was for his generation.
2 Peter 2:5. God didn't spare the ancient world, but protected Noach, a preacher of righteousness. So remember I asked you, do you think he preached to the people there? He did. He did. For 120 years, Rashi says, and the other sages say, which I didn't used to believe, but I do now, until I read it in the sages. I'd hear Christians say that Noach preached for 120 years.
Was that how long it took him to make the ark?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, that's not true. That's not true. And then I saw it in the sages. Now I believe it. A preacher of righteousness with 7 others when he brought a flood upon the world of the ungodly, who mixed up all the DNA. Genesis 8:13. Now it came about in the now watch this. In the 601st year. What's that a picture of? 6001. In the first month. On the first of the month. What day is that?
Rosh Hashanah.
That's Rosh Hashanah. That the water was dried up from the earth, and it's a whole new world. So the flood started, a second creation. The flood started in his 600th year, and the flood was taken away in his 601st year.
And you can look at the waters like a cleansing. You
Yeah.
know?
Say it louder, please.
You can look at the waters as a cleansing,
Absolutely.
and therefore the Rosh Hashanah, being the first or the beginning of the year, is a beginning of a new world, because the earth has been cleansed and now something new is coming. Or that was what God's desire was.
I have a question about the calendars.
I knew you were going to ask, and I was about to say it. So Christians, a lot of them have told me, yeah, but the first month is Nisan. Before Exodus 12, when God rotated the calendar, Rosh Hashanah is Rosh Hashanah,
Right.
birthday of the world, Tishri 1. Why is it called Rosh Hashanah? Because in the beginning, the 7th month Tishri was the first month, and he rotated it, and he rotated it to make the 7th the first and the first the 7th, so that this is before Exodus 12. So the first month, first day of the month is Rosh Hashanah. Now your question.
Okay, but that didn't change until after the flood.
What didn't?
Okay, if Rosh Hashanah was the first month
Mhm.
before,
Yes. Before Exodus 12, when it was rotated.
Right.
Anything before Exodus 12,
Okay, because
the first month, the first day is Rosh Hashanah. Okay, got it?
Yeah, no, I get
All right, so Exodus 12 is the linchpin. That's when it was
And
rotated.
the word Bereshit, you don't have vowels when you say Bereshit in the beginning. But if you look at it, you can also see Berosh.
Rosh.
Berosh. The
Correct.
head of the year, in the beginning, the head of the year. So that's where it shows us and teaches us that God created on
Rosh Hashanah. So anyway, the linchpin, the rotation happens Exodus 12. All right. Is this as good as righteousness gets? And you need to think about it. Because, like I said, there are Jews who are pushing with everything in them to get to know God and to do Judaism and to be righteous. And there are millions and millions of believers who are just fine.
But not all, because there are some.
I didn't say all.
Yeah.
I said there are millions and millions
Yeah.
who are just fine. And you need to be able to recognize it. And
Yeah, I can see that.
yeah, it's
There are some that are pushing.
it's a real different view. Because if the pushing doesn't go toward Judaism, it's pushing in the wrong direction. So I just want to go back and look at this statement. Noach walked with God. It's a good thing. Nothing wrong with it. But about Abraham it says, walk before me. And then he said, God, before whom I have walked. The difference is Noach required God's support to uphold him in his righteousness, while Abraham strengthened himself morally and conducted himself righteously by his own efforts. So my question is, are we more like Noach or more like Abraham? Do we need God to help us get through, to manage, to walk through, to deal with, to cope with everything in our lives? Or are we strong enough to do Judaism on our own, be moral and ethical, and manage the boundaries, manage those boundaries on our own? It is very difficult to do. But we need to think about this. Because we are coming into a time where it's going to get worse and worse and worse, and harder and harder and harder to make right decisions and good decisions on our own. So, next week we're going to start looking at Abraham. So it's going to be a nice transition from Noach to Abraham. Let's pray. Abba, we depend on you for absolutely everything. But you depend on us completely for us to walk. You can't walk for us. You can't live for us. We have to live for you. We have to do the work. And I ask, Lord God, that you would help us to clarify issues in our life, to clarify our thinking, to clarify our feelings, to clarify our views, so that we don't jump into the pool of the people that are muddying up your boundaries, but help to clarify your boundaries by your Torah. In the name of Yeshua. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.